And now Nino's going to go into the green room. What Nino does when we sign off after the handoff, he listens in the green room. He doesn't just hang up. I mean, what he'll do, he'll sit there and he'll listen to us talk about Major League Soccer. Oh, he's got the rave green out. Which cup, 2 or 3?
This is 2, baby.
Okay.
This is 2. All absolutely.
Right. So he'll kind of hang out in the green room and he'll react to what you and I are talking about. Literally, there'll be times where he'll fall out of his chair, and I can see it in the green room. So we have our South American live audience falling out of their chairs as we go through things. We started the show off this morning talking about the 3 championship games that happened last night, with what happened in Campeones Cup, with what happened in the Can Champ, and with what happened in Open Cup. Where do you want to start when it comes to those 3?
Well, I watched 2 out of 3, so I would love to start with Open Cup, and then maybe we can move into Campeones Cup after that.
All right, so it was 3-1. Kai Kamara, obviously, with the quote of the day after the match was over. He said, Don was here, meaning Don Garber. I saw him. He was on the podium. He gave me a medal. So just get him in here and make sure they don't take MLS away from this. This is amazing. You know, this is American soccer right here. Don't take away from our history, end quote. So Kai Kamara scores. Kai, who is, I think, 72 years old and still is incredibly productive from Cal State University. He knows what the American soccer footprint is. He knows what it means to be in all of these different competitions and all these different locations. He gets an Open Cup medal. It's something that LAFC, despite their negative nature of playing these days, they fight through it and still end up winning titles. Olivier Giroud was all happy and everything. The most handsome man in Major League Soccer scored last night. I see this as adding hardware, but I don't see this for LAFC as something where they will open up things offensively. I still think that they're going to be defensive first and frustrate everybody except for Steve Cherundolo, who I will maintain ever since they got bumped out of CONCACAF Champions League when they were all offensive and they had Carlos Vela and all the stars. Ever since then, Steve Cherundolo has pulled back offensively. He's wanted to make sure that the golf tee is in the golf cart, and he's got the governor on it. And I think that he's restricting the talent that's there. It's almost like pounce and create instead of create and pounce. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. However, I feel like if he's built a team that can benefit from that sort of play, then I think it's all good and well, right? I mean, I've always been like you, right? Kind of this purist of beautiful soccer, and I want to see you hold the ball, and I want to see you use the width of the field, and I want to see a little bit of flair and some connection, some link-up play. But Steve, I think he saw himself in some situations. I mean, you don't lose 4 finals and don't try to change things up. And throughout that time, he has been a coach that would rather play counter soccer and rather give you the ball. And like you said, not create, but maybe just leave off your mistakes. We're going to press the ball. We're going to go in transition. And I think he's built a team for it, right? I mean, the wing play is elite. It doesn't matter which way you go. You go Buanga, you go Bogut, you go Kike Oliveira. You got guys that can run perfectly when it comes to a transition moment. You have a holding midfield that is quick distributing the ball, that is going to try as much as they can at delivering that switch of play or switching the point of attack whenever it's necessary, whenever you see the space on the other side. So because of that, I don't hate it. And I thought that in this particular final, they struggled a little bit because Peter Vermees, in a very Peter Vermees type of situation, he gave LAFC the ball, and he was very cautious. And yes, a lot of people were criticizing Peter for looking afraid in the first half, and I think that's outrageous, man. I mean, you're playing LAFC. If I'm going to go play you open and I'm going to try to just beat you at what you're good at, I'm not going to go anywhere. And I thought that that's why this game was as even as it was throughout the first 90. I thought that Peter did some great things, right? I mean, he really limited situations. Even with Denis Bouanga, did look like Denis Bouanga of old. I'll tell you that. He was all over. He was a handful. Speed. I'm gonna come right at you. Clearly taking advantage of Shelton, a non-defensive minded player, as a right back, and you saw Kai later on do the same. But Denis Bouanga I thought was on point. I thought Giroud this was the best game I've seen him play since he started with LAFC. Obviously, with LAFC and MLS, please don't come at me. This is not the best game I've ever seen him play. I mean, with this particular team.
Yeah.
And I thought that the speed that Peter wanted to see out of that midfield, out of their center defensive midfielders, I thought created some problems at times for LAFC. So it was a great game. And Kai Kamara, you got to just applaud the man. It's so effortless for him. That third goal is the final punch that completely knocked out Sporting Kansas City. It was 2-1. It could have still been tied up. It could have been equalized at some point. But Kai Kamara, the way he literally jogs to the 18, he's looking at Denis Bouanga the entire time. Denis Bouanga is doing his thing on the side. He continues to just lightly jog. He sees that Shelton has no idea he is right behind him. And when Denny puts that ball inside with good pace at the right spot, he just runs right in front of Shelton and puts the ball away. Effortless. And that's what he's been doing for this team. And that's credit to Cherundolo for being able to use a guy like him with his experience, with his IQ, and they deservingly won that Open Cup. But I do want to credit Sporting Kansas City for making it hard, for taking it to OT, for not allowing themselves to just get beat down by LAFC. Tommy is a guy that he's always been productive. He's done it all for Sporting Kansas City. He's been in the back line. He's been on out playing out wide. He's played middle. In this one, he played as a cam, and I thought he did it well. It was nice to see him and Shallowy put that goal for Sporting Kansas City. But LAFC was just too much at the end of the day. LAFC wanted it. You saw it in their faces. You saw it in the celebration. They wanted to get that rust off being, or that stigma of being the best, second best after four consecutive loss finals.
The best never to win until.
That's right.
Two more questions about LAFC. And to your point about Sporting, if I'm Peter Vermes in that matchup, you're on the road, you're going up against a team that is better than you. Why not let them have the ball? Why not let them? It's almost like Vermes wants to rope-a-dope you. And literally it's like, all right, you can have the ball. You spend all of your energy. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to wait. For a philosophy on a road game against a team that is better than you, I could definitely see, look, I'm going to rope-a-dope your ball. You go ahead and you tire yourself out, and I'll take advantage of it late. I can understand why Peter would do something like this for the first hour, many minutes. I get that completely.
Yeah, and he said it. I don't know if it was after the game, but he said, I knew they were going to come at us with everything they had within the first 20 minutes. So he had to hold on. He had to do certain things. And we did that holding on. Pulido gets a great chance in front of goal. And now Pulido is a guy that he needs to put those type of goals away. And we're talking about a whole different ball game, right? And that's been Sporting Kansas City's season in a nutshell, right? It's just the fact that their top players are not at top form right now. And guys like Shallowy and Pulido, even Russell, who obviously is at the end of his career already, or at least not in his prime, right. They're starting to see a little bit of problems. But I thought that the strategy was put on right. I thought that they played the game that was going to give them the best chance to win. And again, anytime that you take LAFC to overtime with the limitations and problems you've had all season, I mean, that's credit to Peter.
How does Carlos Vela fit under the salary cap? Did they just give him like an Albertsons gift card or something for I mean, literally, is it like Arco and Albertson's gift cards, and maybe a lifetime gift card to In-N-Out Burger? How did this come down? How did this fit?
That's a great question. I know that they had room. It wasn't much.
Okay, and that was my biggest thing. It's like, how creative are they? Did they actually have room? Was it a gift cards kind of a thing? What was Thorington working with here?
All I know is that they did have room both in roster and in salary. And that number, I'm unaware of what that is because I've read a couple of different reports and I don't want to give you a wrong number, but there was room for it. whether that number is the same number that, they told us they gave Garrett Bale at one point, and what they're saying that they're giving Lloris, I'm not sure what's behind the scenes. If they do get that In-N-Out lifetime warranty, if they get a free pass for their entire family to hit up Disneyland, I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's got to be something else in line. But, look, the Carlos Vela thing is interesting, man. It's more of a celebration to him. I think it's just like a farewell tour. I love the way Carlos kind of tamed all expectations. Man, I'm not ready to play in any team. I'm just here just to help the squad, right? Probably later down the road.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's going to be. He's going to be training. He's going to be with the guys. He's going to enjoy of whatever run LAFC makes this season. And whenever his number is called, he'll be ready to play 15, 20 minutes. Maybe I don't know if he'll get a start, but if he does, he's going to have to get used to all the changes that happened with his offense. He's going to have to get his body right. And he let you know already that his body's not right to start or to play any minutes at this point in time. So I think it's more of a celebration to a player that was great. Look, I kind of envy them. I would love to see a Nicolas Todero final tour in the Club World Cup next year, but it's just not going to happen. But I thought that it was a cool, interesting thing. I love that Thorington ended up even answering some questions in Spanish about the decision to bring back a player as important as Carlos Vela. But in terms of the salary cap, I'm sure they did some magic tricks because I don't know how he fits.
Yeah, Chiellini, Bale, Lloris, Giroud, Vela. There's some creative financing going on here with.
Yeah, but it was weird. I mean, if this was going to be the end game? Yeah. Why didn't Carlos just accept whatever it is that was negotiated before? Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit odd. I'm not going to lie to you. That part, I like to see the best of the novel, of the series, of the gesture, but it is a bit of a head scratcher of why you would just decide to sit for 6 months and then come back and take pennies on the dollar at the end of the day.
Yep. Can champ Vancouver won in PKs, and they win the can champ, so they get their way into the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. Columbus and Club America go to PKs. Tied after 90, go to PKs. Club America wins at 5-4. We were talking about it with Nino to begin this hour, and he thinks that it might be one more year after this one before Wilfred Nancy and Columbus Crew and Jimmy Haslam are given the offer that they can't refuse to have Wilfred Nancy go overseas and manage someplace and have the chance to go home. Do you get the sense that Wilfred is happy with the resources he's getting with the Haslams in Columbus and would stay longer than that? Or is he looking for larger frontiers?
I think he's happy there. I think, and I don't know Wilfred like this, but if I was to paint a picture of what I think goes on in that big brain of his, I think that he likes what he has right now. He has the ability to mold young players. He has all the resources that he can. He has a team of brilliant players, and you saw it in the play. We'll get into that in a little bit, that he can work with. So he's all good right now. But in soccer, things tend to change day to day. So I'm looking at Cucho. I'm looking at how much he's making. I know he's looking around the league. I know he has still time on his contract. But there's going to be a point where he's going to be like, hey, man, I'm over here dominating in MLS, and I'm not getting dominated money. I look around the league, and even this current contract of Raul Ruiz is still above mine, and I think Evander makes more than I do. And I think all these players that are not Cucho are making more than I do. I need to get a raise. So how does management make sure that a guy as important as Cucho stays and that keeps Wilfred happy there? We'll see. But I feel like the infrastructure of Columbus and what they've been able to do, even moving on from certain front office personalities, and they've been able to keep that theory and that soccer module. I think Wilfred is fine, and I don't think he's dying to get to Europe. I'm not sure. That's what I see when he talks. So I think he's happy there. As long as things continue to be the same, I feel like Wilfred's smart enough that he's not in any type of rush to put himself in a situation that might not just be advantageous to him, but to his career. I mean, at this point, continue to win, continue to get the benefit of being the top team in MLS, continue to be that guy that everybody looks up to when it comes to the way you play, the way that you've managed the locker room, all of these things. And then later on down the road, then you could go ahead and make that push. So if I had to say whether he wants to stay or not, I think for right now, and at least for a couple of years, he'd want to stay in MLS.
Cucho, to your point, and I found the salary figures courtesy of our friends at the MLSPA. Cucho's base is 2.6.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed comp just under 2.9. Some of the other heavy hitters in Columbus, Nagbe 1.4 base, 1.54 guaranteed. Rossi 2.675 base, guaranteed $3,376,827. That's Rossi guaranteed. And those are the only ones that are into those are seven-figure players on Columbus. It's just those three that are making more than $1 million a season. Those three guys. And Cucho right now is second at 2.6 and 2.886 behind Diego Rossi on that roster.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And compared to what Wilfred was coming from, I mean, that's going to feel pretty good. And I do expect this team to go and get more people. And when I saw guys like Juwan Jones come in for whatever money they did, that looked like a move that Wilfred said, I need that guy, I want that guy, and they got him that guy. So I'm not really of the thought that he needs a big wallet and just wants undeniable money like Atlanta or Miami. I just think that he wants the guys he wants, and as long as you provide him those players, he's going to be fine. And again, as long as you give him the guys that have made a difference on the field and off the field, Rossi, all those big name players, Nagbe, and keep them with those sort of resources, I think he's going to be fine.
Right now, Patrick Schulte, who's probably going to be getting a big raise, his comp right now full is $180,000. Wow. So that is going to be going that direction with Schulte at the very least.
How much is Farsi making?
Mo Farsi, according to the MLS players salary grouping, he's $350 base, $380 guaranteed.
They just done such a good job with that. I mean, when you look at those players and you look at the talent level, at some point, and maybe this is one of those situations where it's the perfect moment for the team because you got all of these upcoming players that haven't really reached top salaries. Yeah. But when you look at Farsi, Moreira, when you look at Christian Ramirez and what he's making, again, even Cucho could be asking for double what he's making, but he came in at this specific price and time. When you look at Juwan Jones, when you look at Matan, I mean, these are quality players that have been consistent for this team, and yet they're at a very low salary. So just credit to that front office and what they've been able to do, the way they've been able to do it.
They're all making mid-six figures. To answer, it's into the names that you mentioned. Christian Ramirez, full compensation, just under $500,000. We mentioned Schulte. Right now, he's at 160,603. He's going to get a big raise, and a big ass raise is what he's going to be getting. Let's see. Morera's at 800,000 base, 882 guaranteed. Matan coming in from his time with NYCFC and other places, 450 base, 483 and a quarter is guaranteed. And we mentioned Farsi. Shaberko is at 553 and a quarter guaranteed. Rudy Camacho, 551 total guaranteed. And then Malte Amundsen just under 400,000 guaranteed. So there's a lot of six-figure dudes there, but they're all mid-six-figure dudes. And so there's a good massaging that's been going on with salaries and the salary cap. You know what time it is?
Oh, it is cliffhanger time.
It is cliffhanger time. So we're going to run through the games. And if there's a game you want to talk about, total, number, we'll do it. 7:30 starts, 7:40 actually. So 7:30 in the book, 7:40 on Apple TV. CF Montreal, San Jose. CF Montreal favored at Stade Saputo at a -119. DC and Crew. Crew is a road favorite. Even after last night, they are still a road favorite at a +133. DC United a +175. The draw is a +277. Interesting there, coming off a midweek game with Crew having to go to DC. I thought that was intriguing.
What's the draw?
277.
Yeah. I'd probably go with a draw there. Maybe Columbus goes and just manages this game. DC United, if anything, they can create some problems for that three-man back line, specifically with their crosses. I thought that yesterday they put themselves in some bad situations. I mean, that goal by Davila, that is a new signing for Club America from Chile. Very good, very fast. It happens on a little bit of a breakdown where your lines are just too high. You're pressing. They try to repress and they failed, not by anything that they didn't do, but credit to Club America. And all of a sudden you got a guy running in front right at your goal and he puts that one away. So yeah, I think that might be a situation in which maybe Columbus gets a draw.
All right, other matchups as we roll. Here we go. It is, I'm going to save Atlanta, Philly, and Seattle, Houston to the end. It is FC Cincinnati, LAFC. FC Cincinnati at TQL, a -104, draws a +281. LAFC coming out off of last night at home, flying to Cincinnati is a +250.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Wow, that's what's the goals on this one?
All right, so let's see what direction we go here. So FC Cincinnati and LAFC, we're going to go over under. And once again, this is courtesy of our friends in the Composited Odds Portal. 2.5 a -183, 3.5 a +136. So that's where it changes. 3.5 at +136. Under 3.5 is a -175.
Wow. No, if I had to do this game, because I feel like it's going to be hard to decipher because of all the factors you just mentioned, because Cincinnati within themselves have been not the Cincinnati of old. I could see a 2-2 draw in this one. And let me say that we did pretty good last week on the goals differentials. And if it wasn't because Atlanta messed me up, we would have gotten Atlanta as well. but we did pretty well. So I'm gonna go 3.5 in this one. I'm gonna take the draw for a 2-2 between Cincinnati and LAFC.
All right, so we'll go 2-2 draw. By the way, over at 4 is a +239. Under 4 is a -335. Since you punched that number, we figured we'd go there. Messi and friends at the Erector set are going to be waiting for Charlotte to try to get out of this mess. My guess is Charlotte's going to fly out of Helene as soon as they can. Messi and friends a -192. Charlotte has only won twice, I think, since July 4th. So Charlotte a +433. Your draws a +373. New England, flat out even money, +100 at home, hosting Nashville. Nashville's a +250, and your draw is a +263. Intriguing.
Give me Nashville, man. Give me Nashville.
At a +250.
Give me Nashville.
I mean, those numbers are just odd, you know?
They are odd, man. I like those numbers. Look, allow me to use your platform to just tell Carlos Hill that it is not the way that you come at a defender that the thing between him and Javier Arriaga and the way he pushed him, the way he came at him, the whole thing. Caleb called it embarrassing. It was embarrassing, but but Carlos Hill, as the face of the franchise, the best player, he cannot come out of Javier Arriaga like that. And regardless of whether he was having a terrible game or not, that's not here nor there. That's not leadership, man. You can't come at your player like that and dog him right in front of everybody as you're walking towards the tunnel. Do it in the locker room. Keep it in the locker room. Don't do it in front of everybody. Come on. I think that New England imploded last game. They allowed Charlotte to put 4 on you. That's Charlotte, baby. 4 on you. So I think that in this one, with all of the bad vibes, all of the problems, Dylan Borrero suspended, all of the things that happened in New England, I think Nashville's a good pick this week.
All right. We'll go from there to Hudson River. Red Bulls hosting New York City. Red Bulls a plus 112. Draws a plus 267. And NYCFC on the road crossing over the river is a plus 219.
That's a draw, baby. That's a draw, and that's a safe draw on my regard. And again, thank you, Red Bulls, for ruining my Atlanta pick. That one was tough. Or Atlanta ruining my pick on that one, because that looked good. That Atlanta was going to take that game, and they didn't. But yeah, I think it's going to be a draw. New York City's been interesting, man, because they have a lot of quality players. They seem to at least have gotten the 9 situation situated, but they still seem to have issues managing games in general. They played well, or actually Miami didn't play well, and they were able to get a draw against Miami. But I think that there are things with New York City FC that can change in the future. But between these two teams, I think a draw is pretty safe.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. We're going to save Philly and Atlanta. We're going to save Seattle and Houston for the end. Austin hosting RSL. Austin favored at home at Q2 at a plus 133. RSL plus 183. Chicago hosting Toronto at a minus 102. Obviously looking at having Toronto traveling to Vancouver, then having to come back and play in Chicago on the weekend. Toronto's a plus 257. Draws a plus 266. If the purple team can get out of Central Florida, they're supposed to play in Dallas. FC Dallas a plus 133, draws a plus 2.5, and Orlando City's a plus 192. Loons hosting Rapids at a minus 101. Colorado a plus 234, draws a plus 291. Battle of the Interstate. I always forget what interstate it is that links St. Louis and Kansas City. All caps a minus 125. And draws a plus 313. Sporting's a plus 283, especially with what happened in the midweek. Sporting having to play 120 minutes in Los Angeles, having to come back. You're playing on the road in St. Louis, taking on City SC. You're a dog. And then Vancouver and Portland in Cascadia. Vancouver playing at home after the midweek, winning in PKs, a minus 109 against Portland. The draws a plus 312. Portland is a plus 238. And so,
wow, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So let me get 2. One, I would definitely take Portland over Vancouver in this one, although Portland was another one that could have been real good for me last week, and then it ended up being a draw. But they were there. We did get the goals on that one, by the way. But I'll take Portland on this one, and I want to see the goals on FC Dallas and Orlando City, because that's going to be an interesting one. Look, FC Dallas is not the FC Dallas of old. I think that in the non-Nico Steves era, they are not just more dangerous because of the structure of the play. I just feel like they'd be more decisive. And of course, the fact that they're getting Ferreira back and Velasco back, I mean, those players are so important. You saw that last week. I think that in this one, with another team that likes to get forward in Orlando City, there could be a lot of goals.
2.5 a minus 140, 3.5 a plus 174. So technically it changes at 3 to a plus 119. So 3.5, if you go 2-2, that's a plus 174 if you take the over there.
What's 4.5?
4.5. 4.5 is a plus 394. So if you're looking at 3-2 or 4-1, plus 394.
Give me the 4.5. I should have taken more 4.5s last week, and I didn't. We would have hit that Portland game. We would have hit that Columbus game. So this week I was thinking I'm going to go more 4.5s. That's one of them. I'll take the 4.5, Orlando and FC Dallas.
David is asking if Schulte is a Generation Adidas or a homegrown. Schulte is on his option year that was renewed in his first 3-year deal, and so I'm efforting to figure out if he's a GA or if he's a homegrown product.
I thought he was a homegrown.
Yeah, I think
I'm almost certain that he's a homegrown.
All right, so we'll go with homegrown until evidence comes otherwise about Patrick Schulte. Okay, last 2 matchups on the board: Atlanta at Philadelphia. Philadelphia minus 141 in the playoff chaos in the East. Your draw's a plus 330. Atlanta's a plus 317, provided that they can get out of town. What do you think?
That's a tough one, man. Atlanta has been such a headache for me. And Philadelphia has bounced back. I could see why the numbers are what they are. I know you guys probably don't want to hear it, but I think another draw in the future of Atlanta is pretty possible. I just think Atlanta has had so many woes defensively and just bad moments in general, not taking care of the right moments. I know it's hard sometimes to play in front of the substitute teacher that he's not going to be the remaining teacher, but man, it's tough sometimes to watch Atlanta. So yeah, man, I'll go with the draw on that one.
All right, and so let's wrap up with yours, and your matchup is one of the late games on Saturday, hosting Dynamo. Seattle's a minus 123, draws a plus 268. Houston is a plus 330. What say you, Niko Moreno? You laugh to start things out. Wow.
Man, I don't know why I like that 330, man. Look, I think a draw is probably a safer bet. I think Seattle against San Jose went back to a lot of the problems that they've had all season. Houston is not an easy game to beat. Houston is not an easy team to break down.
Right.
Houston has some quality, experienced midfielders. And without João Pablo and the fact that it's going to be Josh Atencio and Obed Vargas in the midfield, which both quality players, I just think that against Orlando, you need a little bit of those dark arts. You need a little bit of that experience play, a little shoulder here, a little elbow there. I mean, not that I'm trying to encourage anybody from playing the game that way, but I feel like it's just going to be a very physical game. I think Ponce can really give Seattle some issues because of the movement that he can have in the final third. So I'm over here just moving it around. I think Houston wins it, and I think they win it by the minimum, by a 1-0 score in Seattle. And I hope I'm wrong, and I hope I don't get, canceled over here in Seattle. But I feel like Houston is equipped to give Seattle headaches and give Jordan Morris headaches. And when there is no plan B by this Sounders team, when Jordan isn't scoring, I think that this one could go to Houston.
All right, so that is the rundown of everything this week in this week's version of Cliffhanger. So what is going on with you in Pulso Sports on the soccer bar? I know that you've got probably about a half hour to catch your breath and head toward Cup number 3.
I do. So we got definitely soccer bar. We are going to be talking about a lot more into depth into Campeones Cup. What happened? What went right? What went wrong? I thought it was a very exciting game. I thought it was entertaining, regardless of where both of these teams are in the standings. At the end of the day, it's a battle of two countries. They played it that way. So we're going to go into that. We're going to have a conversation with Danny Leyva, another player that has been molded here in Seattle. He came out of the academy. He's very talented, but hasn't really broken out. He hasn't really had the ability to turn himself into this player that, we all think he can be at some point. So check that out. That's going to be both in Soccer Bar and Pulso Sports. And then we'll be at the training grounds at Providence and Swedish Clubhouse later on today. So check that out as well at Pulso Sports.
Mr. Schmetzer's Clubhouse, as always. It's great to have you on Thursdays, my friend. Enjoy your second cup as you head toward your third. Be safe.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And by the way, we will also have a really good podcast with Jeremiah O'Shan that we'll be recording today. I don't know when he'll drop it, but it should be spicy. We're gonna be looking into the Sounder season, where they're at. Brian Smetzer right now. The conversation is contract ends at the end of the year. Do
Yeah.
you keep them? Do you move on? What do you do? Are you happy where they are? So check that one out. It's gonna be a spicy little podcast there.
Spicy. All right. As always, my friend, great to see you and great to hear from you, and have everything. May everything stick to the cards. May all the interviews work out well, and we will catch up with you next week. Always great to see you, my friend.
Thank you, boss. Have a good one.